GamingBolt presents 15 things that are not video game bosses, but can still kill you. Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude taught me that dying is the hardest thing to do. Fortunately, or unfortunately, it's very easy in most games. You don't even have to run up to the nearest boss for a smacking. Some games are filled with the most routine things that can kill you. Others have some rather unique ways to deliver death. Let's take a look at 15 things that aren't video game bosses but can still straight up murder you. Spikes, Mega Man. Spikes have been a long-standing obstacle in the Mega Man series. It doesn't matter which variation you play, spikes can instantly kill Mega Man, Base, Zero, or any other heroic robot. There are ways to get around it, like the Mega Man Zero series, which added Cyber Elves for spike immunity. However, if you go the old-fashioned route, be wary of spikes. Water, Sonic the Hedgehog. In all of his years of gaming, Sonic possessed one disadvantage that he could never quite correct: swimming. In the older Sonic the Hedgehog games, Sonic could remain underwater, sinking like a rock to the bottom and drowning if he didn't get oxygen. In newer games like Sonic Adventure, Heroes, etc., Sonic can fall into water and just die, unless it's part of the level design, in which case the same drowning philosophy applies. Flap those arms and swim, damn it. Fall damage, Watch Dogs, Far Cry 4, Dark Souls. With great games come great responsibilities. These include not jumping off of large buildings and breaking your legs, because obviously you wouldn't do that in real life. Seriously, don't. Games like The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt at launch, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed when there's no haystack nearby, and so on, make fall damage lethal and a very real danger to avoid. It's worth noting that sometimes you can still survive after falling from great heights, but a few more inches of air will finish the job. Long drops, Overwatch. Long drops are a common killer in Overwatch. The game even rewards you with cards and play of the game clips if you manage to drop foes off into the abyss, dubbing them environmental kills. Whether it's the infamous Ilios Well, Ilios Ruins, or Ilios Lighthouse, in almost every other map, there's always some area where you can fall to your death. Crushed to death, Sonic, Mega Man, and Super Mario Bros. You can't have a decent platformer without the environment acting as a foe. We're not just talking about missed jumps, spikes, water, or even flames. No, you have to worry about the environment crushing you to death. Sonic, Mega Man, Mario, and even Nier Automata are prime examples of death by crushing. Disease, the Oregon Trail. The Oregon Trail is one of the earliest survival games in history and throw all manner of craziness at you to deal with. Disease was a major killer. Cholera, diphtheria, dysentery, measles, and typhoid fever could end the journey for either you or the entire wagon if not taken care of. Random piece of metal, Space Quest 3. Old school adventure games were pretty crazy in the number of ways that they could kill you. Space Quest 3 is one such example. It was possible to find a random piece of metal, and this is an adventure game, so of course you'd pick things up, and have the character cut himself. He would then die from blood loss because that's just how things roll. Death by Oversoul, Destiny the Taken King. The initial fight against Crota in Destiny's The Dark Below was pretty lame, as you shot at a crystal for some time. By comparison, the final battle in Crota's End is much more epic, as players must commandeer a sword and strike Crota down to finish him. Forget about the bugs for now. Any player dying during the boss battle would summon the Oversoul, an execution mechanic that wiped the entire team if it wasn't shot at enough. So maybe this could be death by having a less than ideal sword bearer. The Giant Pit, the Neverhood. Meet Clayman, a clay figure in a clay video game who can't quite die. That is, unless you jump into the pit that clearly says not to jump into because you'll die. Sure, this is another example of the long drop that can kill a character again, but this is the only way for Clayman to legitimately die in the Neverhood. Death by Depression, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The video game adaptation of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy has an astonishing number of ways to die. From protein loss after teleporting to typing kill self, death's business is booming. However, the most absurd death is probably by entering Marvin, the depressed robot's room. You actually get so depressed by it that you die. Anyone who's read the books knows that Marvin is capable of far greater feats, like destroying the Cricket's war robot's own computer with his depression and rendering them harmless. Death by Choice, Mass Effect 2. Didn't complete those loyalty missions in Mass Effect 2? Wandered in with less than the ideal number of allies. It's rough going in the suicide mission on the Collector base. Along with the potential deaths of crew members, Shepard himself can die by letting go while hanging on the Normandy for dear life. At least Joker survived to fight the Reapers, so there's that. Radiation, Fallout 3, and Fallout 4. Radiation sickness is a thing in the Fallout universe, which makes sense when you consider that the world has been nuked to hell and back. The ending of Fallout 3 was initially about your character dying from too much radiation, making a noble sacrifice to purify the Potomac River, before the Broken Steel DLC changed it. Fallout 4 has radiation permanently reduce your health bit by bit until you use Radaway, or, well, die. Accidentally using Life Tap, Hearthstone and World of Warcraft. In Hearthstone and World of Warcraft, Life Tap performs a specific function, like drawing another card in Hearthstone or restoring mana in World of Warcraft, at the cost of your own health. It's pretty powerful, but if you're not careful, abusing it can get you killed very quickly. This is especially the case in WoW, since it can cost you 10% of your overall health with each use. Failing that one QTE, Resident Evil 4, Shenmue. Remember that one fight with Chai in Shenmue where you could lose the whole deal if you don't quickly perform that final QTE? How about all of those times in Resident Evil 4 where you could die if a QTE wasn't performed correctly? Curse you trapdoor leading to a pit of spikes. It's amazing to think how many times one can die in a single game by failing a quick time event. If only Simon Says was as lethal. Poor grenade handling, Call of Duty and Battlefield. Let's say an enemy has thrown a grenade at you in Call of Duty or Battlefield. Pick up that grenade and throw it right back. Of course, you could probably die if you didn't throw it back. You could die if you held onto it for too long. You could even die if you cooked a grenade for too long and didn't throw it. The point is, throw those grenades regardless of where they came from. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.